So, tēnā tātou, welcome to the open session for postponed Hui 52. Just because we're on a virtual conference, when it comes to the resolutions, we just need to be careful in terms of ensuring that the record shows exactly how the voting's occurred. I don't mean by that I have to go around and each person has to say a name and their position. But we just want to confirm for the record how the voting went in terms of was it unanimous, etc. I'll also, if you don't mind, also just nominate folk for moving and seconding resolutions. So to start with, in the usual way, with our introductory items, we'll take items 1, 2 and 3, apologies, declarations of interest and confirmation of minutes together. Again, the team are making a record of this as well in terms of the minutes. So we have no apologies, declarations of interest, just to remind ourselves of the registers that are being kept by the management team, a reminder to update those declarations where they've changed, and also we've had the minutes previously. So just to start, is there anything on the minutes that folk want to raise or correct? If not, I'm happy to move, and if I can ask Josephine to second, please.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you. So is there anyone who, in recognising that Lydia and Kathy we can't see at the moment, but just making sure that you can hear us, which I understand you can, is there anyone who disagrees with that resolution? No one does. So if we can have the record show that that's a unanimous resolution and is passed. That takes us to item 4, Love Your Maunga 2020 update. That paper is taken as read, and I'll ask if there are any questions or comments from members. So there are none. I'll move, and if I can ask Chris, if you can nod, do you second that paper, please? Yes, Chris is nodding. Again, if anyone disagrees or objects to that resolution insofar as Love Your Maunga is concerned, please say so or nod. No one is, so let the record record that that's unanimous resolution and is passed. That takes us to item 5, management responses to COVID-19. Given the importance of this pandemic topic, Nick, could you please highlight points that are in the paper, recognising this is a bit old, with any more recent matters, please?
Certainly. So the chair is correct. This paper was written just as we were entering into alert level 2, and management had taken initial steps. The main thing being cancelling all of the events that were on the Maunga at that stage. Some of them were less than the 500 recommended by the Crown, but we took a conservative approach and looked at closing them all. So since then we've moved very rapidly since the paper was written, and members will be aware that we postponed the Hui because we had escalated because the response had escalated. So since then a number of management things have been done to take into account the difference in alert levels. So we now are only undertaking essential services on the Maunga, those being mowing, in particular the fire breaks, which we've continued to mow. Those being, we've kept the toilets closed, but we are undertaking security rounds, as well as removing litter. Aside from that, we've closed off all other facilities, including toilets and playgrounds, and placed signs up. We've also closed down all of the gates to the Maunga where possible, and closed down all of the car parks where possible.
Sure, Nick, and just to acknowledge the huge amount that the team has done under challenging circumstances with the lockdown. This is not easy. We're getting comments from folks saying, you know, why are there 80 people on the Maunga Day on Tuesday night? Why are there 50 people at the playground? It's a pretty simple answer. People aren't doing what they've been asked and told to do, despite all the signs, despite the tape. People are people. Anyway, we'll open up for discussion. Any questions or comments of the team? Kia ora, Ho.
I have a question.
Kathy and then Ho. Kia ora.
On the 1st of April, Paul, Wellington City Council said they may be closing the Mount Vic lookout because of the gatherings up there. Has any thought been given to actually closing off the tihi on the more popular maunga like Maunga Whau?
Nick?
Bearing in mind also that we have a large capital works program on the tihi of Maunga Whau already, so in effect a large area of that has been closed down. As I was saying previously, what we have done is been able to close off all of the gates, so you cannot drive any vehicles onto the maunga, in particular Maunga Whau. So people are either have to park at the bottom, and the idea being that it's encouraging locals to walk up the maunga rather than people to drive great distances to the maunga to go up there. In effect, it's very hard to actually close off the area, and we certainly found that on Maunga Whau with the capital works. So we've put up fences around a whole lot of areas. People do walk past there, people walk past taped areas, as the chair mentioned, and we've taken more of a practical approach. I would note that as we've moved through and gotten used to level 4 alert, that our contractors, being our eyes and the ears, our maintenance contractors, have noticed a lot more people complying with the social distancing rules. And I believe that a news article was put up recently on the News Hub website where a journalist had visited the maunga for his daily walks, and he'd noticed that a lot of people were complying by those social distancing rules. But again, just re-emphasising what the chair has already said, our role is in managing the maunga and doing everything practicable that we can to make sure that's a safe environment, recognising that the Crown has allowed for walking and exercising, and people will naturally gravitate to the Tūpuna Maunga for those exercises. And it's really the police's role to police any breaches of that. So where they have occurred, we have been reporting them. We do have our contractors on the maunga. In some maunga we've ramped up our security patrols, and other maunga, in particular Maunga Kia, which seems to have the largest amount of people going to it, we have an on-site ranger who does also report on things. And when we have had incidences, we have reported them on the COVID-19 website.
Any follow-up, Kathy?
I just had a follow-up question about dogs. I know there was some massing of dogs on some maunga in the early days. Has that levelled out as well?
So I certainly haven't heard any more reports on the dogs, but noting that the council did issue a statement around asking people to have their dogs on leash, and we have put up some signage recommending that people keep their dogs on leash on the maunga where we have dogs off leash areas.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That's great.
Kia ora, Ho.
Kia ora. Just a question. Does our COVID-19 response align to the Auckland Council response?
So we have, through sort of developing our response, we have engaged with the council on and making sure that we are in line as much as possible or as much as practicable. I understand that that the council have opened up some wharepaku around the area to cater for homeless and the like. We've been monitoring activity on the maunga and have opted to keep all of our wharepaku closed. So yes, as far as practicable, we've been keeping in line with what they're doing.
Thank you.
Any other whakaaro pātau? Just on your first point, Kathy, and it's a good one in terms of people being able to be safe in these important spaces. Some of the feedback I've been getting, I'm sure others, is that how much people have valued being able to, in these very difficult times of isolation, to be on these spaces, and you know, it's very quiet. Families get to be in their respective bubbles in you know, locations that they can look across Tamaki, feel quite safe, and you know, really reflect on you know, what this all means and being in that sort of space. So it's been quite heartening to hear the role and the importance of our Tūpuna Maunga in the lives of our communities and what it means to be able to walk up there. It's been a real area of joy.
Just on that point, Paul, and I mean, there's possibly an opportunity that, you know, listening to Zainin and supporting Zain's corridor around the sacredness and the tapu of our maunga and what it means to iwi. It might be something for us to think about, of talking about and talking about our maunga, or marketing, or you know, that sort of thing, and communicating to our communities the, you know, the essence of our maunga and a place of contemplation, all that sort of stuff that aligns to us as Māori, in that given the opportunity now around the lockdown, I'm not saying to populate the maunga with it, you know, but given the opportunity, you know, it's a place for that contemplation. Yeah, just a whakaaro anyway.
Aye, waitina. So if there's no further discussion on that, I'll move the resolution. Could I ask Zaylene to second? She's nodding, thank you. Yes, and again, is there anyone who opposes that resolution? No, there's not, so the record can show that's a unanimous resolution. That takes us to another important paper, and that is the management of fire risks. Again, the paper's a bit dated insofar as when it came out for the postponed hui, and we've had the event on Maunga Day, which we've discussed as well. So I don't think we need to have any further update on that, but again, we'll open up the discussion in terms of that take on the Tūpuna Maunga. Does anyone wish to speak on this take? Okay, I'll move the receipt of that paper and the resolution. Can I ask Dennis to second that paper? Dennis is nodding, yes. Again, does anyone oppose that resolution in that paper? No, so again, that is passed by a unanimous resolution. That takes us to an update on the plantings across the Tūpuna Maunga network. Kia ora, Nick.
Kia ora, Paul. So just noting, of course, that last year with our restoration program, we planted around 44,000 trees. It has been a trialling year in terms of weather, so we have had a record-breaking drought, and that has caused some losses. We've been working hard to ensure that there is weekly watering on the maunga when we haven't had rain, and also just noting some of the innovative techniques that we've done to basically not interfere with archaeology around mound planting, and also some of the biosecurity processes that we've gone through to ensure that we haven't spread the likes of plague skink to any of our maunga. But by and large, we've had a very successful planting season, and we will be planting more trees over this winter season. I guess, as much as COVID-19 responses will allow us in terms of community park plantings, and we will also be doing infill planting to cater for some of the plant loss that we had this year.
Sorry, to acknowledge the huge amount of work the team has on this take. And knowing that there's going to be a very big component of working with communities on this next season of planting, it's good to see a bit more rain starting to come. Just as a bit of a digression, Nick, but as has been discussed in terms of the sensitivity of the values on the Tūpuna Maunga at the different features of the Tūpuna Maunga, the archaeological fabric, the historical areas for mata and co. There must be a sort of an academic journal or area where the experiences that we're probably pioneering and trialing is, you know, worthy of some decent literature on. So don't expect an answer, but of the very many things we do, seeing the work that the management team have worked on since our establishment in 2014, and navigating a very challenging environment in terms of that landscape and those plantings as part of our restoration program, it really is deserving of some of that coverage. Anyway, you'll make a note of that. Again, any discussion or questions on this paper? I'll move this paper and ask Ho to second, please. Yes, Ho is signalling second. Again, is there any opposition to this paper in the resolutions? No, so that's passed by unanimous decision. That takes us to item 8, the Tūpuna Maunga Authority Annual Financial Report for the year ending 30 June 2019. Thank you, Nick.
So yes, just noting, of course, that this paper is up to September, so it is. It's not for this particular quarter. At this particular quarter, we were tracking reasonably well for financials in terms of our operation and our capital spend. And just noting, of course, of COVID-19, that's changed some things if you ask for a recent one. But yeah, I'll basically take the papers read and answer any questions from there.
Kia ora, Nick. Any questions or comments? I'll move the paper. I'll ask Tony.
I have a question. Sorry,
sorry.
Paul.
Sorry, Kathy.
It's tangential. Are we keeping a record of costs on defending ourselves against Honour the Maunga Group? And if so, what's the cost to date?
I'd have to get back to you on that, Kathy, but we haven't done an analysis.
Right, just make sure that we're tracking it, because I think that needs to become public.
Okay. Yes, the team has taken a note of that. Thanks, Kathy.
Okay.
That takes us to the Maunga Authority. Sorry, I don't think I've done a resolution for that one, have I?
Yes,
Dominic,
you haven't done a resolution, so that'd be helpful. Thank you.
So again, I'll move that. I'll ask Alf. Alf, will you prepared to second that, please? Yes, you're nodding. Again, is there any opposition to that paper? No, there's not. So that's a unanimous agreement to that resolution and that paper. Takes us to item 9, Maunga Authority Q1 report. Kia ora, Nick.
Again, noting that this is a retrospective report, so ending in September. One of the key highlights of that was the adoption of the Tūpuna Maunga strategies, and that was a large piece of work, both for the Tūpuna Maunga Authority members as well as Tūpuna Maunga management. We had done a significant amount of planting during that period with a lot of opportunities to engage with people. We'd done a number of presentations, spoke to a number of local boards and updated them on all of the work from the Tūpuna Maunga Authority. And there's been a number of critical projects in planning stage, and the report outlines what those projects were. So yeah, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good, Nick. Are there any questions?
I have one, Paul.
Kia ora, Kathy.
It's not in your report, but something we do at Council, Nick, is we log all our Official Information Act requests and the cost of that. And I wondered where we keep that logged for the Maunga Authority.
So we don't necessarily keep a record on that, but we do have obviously records on those. So yes, we can report on those at a later stage if you would like.
I would like to see it regularly. We get a regular update because it takes up a lot of staff time. It's usually by the same suspects. We don't get to find out who makes them, but we find out whether it's an individual or an organisation or media. And how much of your time is taken up by that? Is it regularly? Does it come in waves? What does it feel like?
It does certainly go in waves. Delegation's a great thing, so it's managed across the team. But yeah, it does certainly come in waves. And yeah, sometimes we get a lot and sometimes we don't.
So let's make
well,
a
if
note
it
of
wouldn't
that.
be too much.
Let's make
Yeah.
a note of that rather than trying to answer it on the hoof without
Okay.
access to the records. But as has been requested, let's get a report on that.
Great.
Any other questions? So again, I'll move this. Lydia, I can't see you, but can you let me know if you can second that, please?
No problem, Chair.
Yes, thank you. Is there any opposition to this paper? No, there's not, so it's passed unanimously. That takes us to two event papers, Easter Religious Processions and Auckland Down Syndrome Association Buddy Walk. Those have been obviously overtaken by events in terms of COVID-19, but there are some wider parts to those papers. So we'll start with the Easter Religious Processions, item 10, and ask Nick to talk to that, please.
Okay. So in accordance with our event policy, we look at events when they come up on a regular basis, and for minor or medium events, they go to the event rōpū to approve. When we have, and the events that we have had, in particular this one with the Easter processions, it's come up every year, and we process a permit every year. However, in this respect, we're actually asking that we look at a multi-year permit, so over 2 years, and for that we've actually gone back to the Tūpuna Maunga Authority to get a multi-year permit rather than the 1 year permit or the one singular event. So just noting these particular events, they happen every year on every maunga. They have regular conditions each year. Each of the people that do these events have met those conditions. With one of the Easter processions, there was an issue last year with regards to people going down the wrong side of the hill rather than sticking to the much safer walkway up to the maunga. So we've made a note of that and contacted the group, and they've made changes to the way they undertake their event. Noting, of course, that this event would have been cancelled for this year in respect of COVID-19, but also just making sure that we have a multi-year ability to grant them ones in future years and not have to come back to the Tūpuna Maunga events rōpū for a decision.
Kia ora, Nick. Kia ora, Alf.
Can we, in this particular instance for this agenda item, Chair, change it to 2022 in light of no Easter procession? It just keeps the next 2 years as in the multi-year. So I'm just suggesting we end up doing that so we cover the next 2 years post this April.
Yes, we can do that in terms of an amendment to the resolution. I'm happy to second that, and that, as I certainly understand it, is keeping keeping faith with the intent of the paper behind that, given the circumstances of COVID-19. Just check in with Nick, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. You're on mute, Chair.
Sorry, any other discussion? Okay, so with that amendment, I'll move that. Kathy, can I ask you to second, please?
Julie?
Second, yes, thank you.
Yep.
Is there any opposition to that paper with that resolution? No, so that's passed unanimously. That takes us to the second event, the Buddy Walk. Kia ora, Nick.
Again, this event has happened for a number of years. They stick to the same route. Basically, it's a walk around Maunga Fau. They then go and have a bit of an event on the maunga. It's open to the whole public, and it's just in celebration of Down syndrome, and it's a really lovely event. They have always stuck to their event permits, so really, really good people to work with, and yeah, so management would recommend that we grant this for a 2 year period also.
Kia ora, Nick, and similarly, I would have thought, Nick, correct to say, amend the resolution to reflect the events in terms of timing?
Actually, Mr. Chair, we'd already processed the permit for 2020, and the resolution for this one is actually for 2021 and 22.
Okay, ka pai. Is there any questions or discussion? I'll move this paper, coming back around the team. Josephine, can you second this, please? Yes, thank you. Is there any opposition to this paper? No, so this paper is passed unanimously. That takes us to the registers. We'll save the resolution to the end once we go through one by one. We'll take that as read. You have those as health and safety, events and media. Recognising they're a bit dated now, but that's what we have. Are there any questions or comments on any of those registers?
I have a question, Paul.
Good, Kathy.
Was the death in the toilets, was that a suicide or was it a death by natural causes?
It was a death by natural causes. We're led to believe that a person was out for their daily run and unfortunately had a heart attack in the toilets when they'd gone to change back into their normal attire.
Oh, God. Okay. It is sad.
And also, I think as we were advised at the time, the appropriate protocols were undertaken in terms of recognising that mate. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, sorry, kia ora, Alf.
Just to reinforce what you've just said around our tupapaku that was there, what was the protocol that was covered when we ended up getting an update. So look, just want to say thanks as well as and reinforce what you've said. Kia ora.
Kia ora. There's no other questions or comments on the registers. I'll move that. Chris, can I ask you the second, please? Yes, thank you. Chris is seconding that paper. Is there any opposition to the registers? No, there's not. So that is passed unanimously as well. That brings us to the end, whānau. Again, really appreciate people taking time out at the end of another busy week. We've got Easter coming up, important time with whānau yet again. So wish us all to be safe and well and healthy and to take care. And with that, I'll ask Dennis to close us, please, as you opened. Kia ora rei ho.
Tēnā koutou. Kumuti pai tēnei wāhanga. O te rā, ngara re mihine kia koe te hamana. Ia hare hina mai mātau I ro te tēnei kōrero. No re koutou katoa ringa I tēnei enei rā I mui a tātou. No re ngā manaakitanga o te runga rawa e tawa kere ki runga ki tō mātou nei ki pota take pero te tuawhiti. Nā manaakitanga hoki ki runga ki a tātou katoa. Tira ki te ao whānau whānui I raro I tēnei mea o te maui. No re kia kaha kia piki te ora te kaha ki rungi a tātou. No re I raro o roto te ingoa tō mātou nei kai whakaoranga āmene.
Kia ora te rangatira. Thank you all.
Kia ora.
Ko te tātou hui. Have a lovely weekend.
Thanks, Paul.
Nā mei kia koutou.
Bye.
Ara.
It is much